Sure, welcome back to Math with Naz. Today we're going to be finishing up Module 5, Lesson 8. We're going to work on the application problem together, and we're doing it as a numberless word problem. So what you'll need is your journal that you do all of your work in and a pencil. If you don't have your journal, any piece of paper you can write on will do. Grab those things, come on back, and let's get started on the word problem. All right, third graders, we're going to read through the word problems slide by slide. And as always, with every slide, you'll get just a little bit more information. It's your job to read and make sense out of what's happening in the story problem. And then at the end, to pause the video and solve before I do. For breakfast, Miss Nazaripour spent some of her money on a coffee and some of her money on a bagel. So go ahead and think what's happening in the story problem and say it out loud like I was sitting in front of you or a friend was. What's happening? Did you say that Miss Nazaripour, that's me, is spending her money on coffee and a bagel? That sounds like a yummy breakfast. I know that I spent some money on coffee and I know that I spent some money on a bagel, but I don't know how much. How much do you think I spent on my coffee and bagel? Let's find out. For breakfast, Miss Nazaripour spent 1/6 of her money on a coffee and some of her money on a bagel. So we just got some new information. What is the new information we just learned? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yeah, I spent 1/6 of my money on coffee. So what I now know is that this story problem is going to be a fraction problem. So I'll be looking for the fraction of money, maybe, that I spent. What I don't know yet is how much I spent on the bagel. So if I spent 1/6 of my money on coffee, what's the denominator of this fraction going to be? How many parts have I broken my money up into? That's right, 6 parts. Let's see what new information we learn next. For breakfast, Miss Nazaripour spent 1/6 of her money on a coffee and 1/6 of her money on a bagel. What new information did you just learn? That's right. I spent the same amount of money on coffee that I did on a bagel. So, what do you not know? That's right. You don't know how much money I spent altogether on the coffee and the bagel, and you also don't know how much money I had to begin with. Let's see what question this story problem is going to ask of us. For breakfast, Miss Nazaripour spent 1/6 of her money on a coffee and 1/6 of her money on a bagel. What fraction of her money did Miss Nazaripour spend on breakfast? Solve by showing a picture and show on a number bond. So what's the question asking me? Go ahead and say it again, but say it in your own words. Yeah, they want to know the total of money I spent on breakfast. And they want to know it in fraction form because they haven't told me how much money I started with. That's a mystery. They've only told me that I've spent 1/6 on a coffee and 1/6 on a bagel, but not how much altogether. So when you solve this, you're going to need to draw a picture. I would probably draw a fraction strip, but it's up to you. It also says to show on a number bond. So this is an extension of the activity that we did yesterday. On the number bond, you're going to have 2 parts, right? Because I know that I've spent some of my money on breakfast, coffee, and a bagel together, and then some of my money I haven't spent yet. So you need to be able to tell me how much was the total I spent on breakfast, as well as how much I have left over. That's how you show it on a number bond. So what I want you to do right now is pause the video. Solve the problem with a picture and a number bond. Go ahead and pause. No, really, pause the video. Try and do it yourself. I know you can. Okay, third graders, I hope that you have both a picture, like a fraction strip, and a number bond. So you'll be telling me not only, remember, how much money I've spent on breakfast, but also how much money I have left. If you haven't done that yet, that's okay. Go ahead and pause again and solve for both things. Here's the answer that I came up with. So I went ahead and drew a fraction strip, which you can see right here. I broke my fraction strip up into 6 parts. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I labeled the unit fraction because I know I always have to label the unit fraction. Each unit or each part is worth 1/6 of my total money. I've labeled this one coffee and I've labeled this one bagel. So if I were to shade it in, I would be shading in these 2 parts. So when I drew my number bond, I put a 1 in the main portion of the number bond because that's how much I'm breaking up. 1 is the amount of money that I started with. And I know that 2/6 of that whole I spent on breakfast because 1 part and 1 part. 2 parts of 6 is 2/6. The part of money that I have left over is 4/6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Miss Nazaripour spent 2/6 of her money on breakfast. Okay, third graders, now I have a couple problems for you to do. This is the problems that you're going to do today. So I'm going to go through each problem, and then you can pause and solve them on your own. Again, there is no need to draw these fractions. You can just label it. So what I want you to do is turn to your next blank page in your journal and put the date. The date is right here, 5-19-20. Write problem set, or just write lesson 8.2. Now go ahead and label the first number you're going to do, because this is the second part of the problem set, is 5. 5 says draw a number bond with 2 parts showing the shaded and unshaded fractions of each figure. Decompose both parts of the number bond into unit fractions. So you already have the fraction strip drawn for you. You have a portion of it shaded and a portion unshaded. It's asking you to now draw a number bond to decompose both parts. So in other words, you'll have 2 different legs coming off of your number bond. One will be for the shaded region and the other will be for the unshaded region. So if we take a look at 5A, I would draw a number bond with 1 in the middle. Remember, that's my whole. And then I would draw 1, 2, 3 parts shaded with 1 part unshaded. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 parts altogether. So 3/4 is shaded and 1/4 is not shaded. Go ahead and continue for B, C, and D. Third graders, please don't forget to label them 5A, 5B, 5C, and 5D. Okay, third grade, what you have to do next is a 3-step word problem. 6 says the chef put 1/4 of the ground beef on the grill to make 1 hamburger and put the rest in the refrigerator. Draw a 2-part number bond showing the fraction of the ground beef on the grill and the fraction in the refrigerator. Draw a visual model of all the ground beef. Shade what is in the refrigerator. I'm going to read that again. Pay attention. The chef put 1/4 of the ground beef on the grill. So we know that the chef has some amount of ground beef, and 1/4 of it goes on the grill to make a hamburger. The rest of that ground beef, how much would that be? The rest of that ground beef goes in the refrigerator. The story problem wants you to draw a 2-part number bond, so just like you were doing in 5, showing the fraction of the ground beef that's on the grill making that hamburger, as well as on the other arm, you'll have the fraction of the ground beef in the in the refrigerator. So one arm will be for what's on the grill, one arm will be for what's in the fridge. You're also going to draw a visual model of all the ground beef. Fraction strip is what that means. Shade in what is in the refrigerator, so not what's on the grill, what's in the fridge. Then do 6A. What fraction of the ground beef was in the refrigerator? Label 6B. How many more hamburgers can the chef make if he makes them all the same size as the first one? Go back to that visual diagram that you drew, that fraction strip. If he's got one hamburger on the grill, how many more hamburgers can he make, in other words? C. Show the refrigerated ground beef broken into unit fractions on your number bond above. So there, you are going to draw a fraction with 3 arms, showing all the parts, the unit fractions that are in the fridge. All right, third grade, when you get all done with this, go ahead and send it in to me or to your teacher. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by and doing some math with Naz. Take care, and we'll talk soon.